guys, welcome back to my kitchen. This week we're going to be making something that is kind of an international food, but the reason that I decided to make it was because I had some leftover potatoes that were starting to go bad, but I've already made a lot of food for the week, and I want to eat that before we eat the potatoes. So basically, in an effort to kind of save the potatoes, I'm going to be making a breakfast item that can also be a dinner, and that is tortilla española, or Spanish omelet. So when I was in Spain, this was something that was super popular. You guys eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and turkey and cheese sandwiches, and pack that type of thing in your lunch. Kids in Spain make this Spanish omelet, and either they cut it up and eat it plain, or they slice it up and they put it on bread and they pack it in their lunch. So it's really different because it's a combination of egg and potato, and it's like a big kind of casserole almost, but it's sliced and put on sandwiches. So I thought it would be kind of fun to show you how to make that, learn about something cultural, but also it's super easy to make because it's made of eggs, potatoes, and onion. So you might already have that laying around your house to make on your own. So we're gonna start off by cutting up an onion, another little review of that, since pretty much every recipe starts with an onion because it's super flavorful. And then we're gonna cut up some potatoes, cook those down, and scramble eggs. So we'll get over to the table and start cutting. Okay, so we're at the table. I have all my ingredients in front of me. Like I said, I'm gonna start off with the onion, but I have my potatoes that I have washed, so always make sure you wash your produce. I have garlic sitting here, and just a quick little review, there's only one clove of garlic left on this bulb of garlic, so when it calls for a clove, it's just talking about one piece, not the whole chunk of garlic. I have some salt, I have pepper and olive oil, and then I also have my eggs, which is pretty much everything that's going into it. So we're going to start by cutting up the onion. I'll set you down here so you can see. The recipe that I posted in your recipe section is for a large Spanish omelet, which makes about 5 to 6 servings. Okay, though I'm making a mini one because I only have about half the amount of potatoes that you need. So it's going to serve probably around 3 to 4 people. Okay, so we are going to start off with a half of an onion. Okay, I showed you how to cut a whole onion. To cut a half onion, you peel the side, cut it in half, set that flat side down so that it's not rocking all around. You're going to slice like we did before. Okay, strips the whole way across, but you're not cutting this root part because that's what's going to hold it all together. Okay, and then you're going to cut this way again so you have that nice grid pattern, but I'm going to stick my hand on top and slice a layer through. I'm going to actually do that twice. Okay, and then we're going to cut the onion. Nice and diced up again. Okay, so I'm going to pick up all this onion and I'm going to stick it in a bowl and eventually put my potatoes in there too. So that's our chopped onion. Okay. Also, I didn't mention it in this video or your taco soup video, but just remember, wash your hands really well, especially right now, guys. And the produce, I already mentioned washing that, but just make sure you're washing it a little extra with all the germs out there. So I'm going to cut up these potatoes. I'm using these little tiny potatoes because, as I said before, this is what I had in my kitchen. The recipe that I posted online does say like 4 to 5 potatoes. I have these mini potatoes, and when I put them all together, they look like, I'd say, about 2 potatoes. So that's what I'm basing it off of, and that's why I'm halving the recipe. Okay, again, a lot of the recipes I'm going to post, they are adapted because that's what you can do at home if you don't have the ingredients. So having that potato, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to cut it again. Okay, we just kind of want little chunks of potato, and we're going to cook them down. So about that size is good. Okay, I'll cut up one more and then we'll speed ahead. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention when I was showing you my potatoes, this bag of potatoes had some special ones that were purple, and they're actually kind of cool when you cut in half. They're very purple. Remember how I said the darker the vegetable, the more nutrients it has. So things like this that are purple, like beets, they have tons of nutrients, tons of antioxidants in it, lots of vitamins and minerals. So sometimes getting something that's colored and darker is gonna actually give you more nutrients. So they pretty much taste exactly like your regular white potato, but they're just a little bit more fun. All right, those potatoes are all cut up. Okay. The next thing we have to add is garlic. If you have a garlic press, super easy, you can use that. But if you don't have a garlic press, I'm going to show you what to do. You're going to take your knife and you're going to stick it flat on top of that piece of garlic. This is what we're going to do to peel the garlic. So I set it on top and I'm going to smack it. Give it a nice smack. That's going to break open this skin a little bit and make it way easier to peel. Okay, we want to get that all off because you don't want this crunchy stuff on there. Okay, we're adding 1 clove of garlic to this. Okay, set that aside. And I'm just gonna chop it up into some little slivers first. And then we're gonna turn it the other way and chop it up, and then I'm going to mince it up. So when we mince, we're chopping it up really small, and this is where you're gonna stick your hand on top of your knife and kind of rock back and forth. Scrape it together into a pile and rock. Okay, that looks pretty good. Give it one more chop, and then we're gonna add it to all those potatoes and onions. And then we're gonna move to the stove area. Okay, I'm gonna pick it up and add it to my pile. Okay, so we're gonna start off with some extra virgin olive oil. I'm just gonna put a drizzle in the pan, because that's what we're gonna cook the potatoes, onions, and garlic in. Now I'm using kind of a small pan, because like I said, I'm making a little one. If you're using the recipe that I posted, you wanna use a big frying pan, okay? But I'm using a small one for today. So I'm gonna put in the onions, garlic, and potatoes, and it's gonna look like it doesn't fit, but that's okay. I'm doing it for a purpose you will see later on. So we're just gonna let this cook down, okay? I'm just gonna stir it every once in a while, get the potatoes and onions really soft and cooked through. This step's gonna take a little bit of time because potatoes and onions take a while to cook. Whoops, lost potato. Okay, so I would say it's gonna take at least 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to get everything cooked the way you want it. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to the potatoes being cooked. A second ago, I added another drizzle of olive oil to the pan because the potatoes were getting kind of almost dry and sort of getting too brown. And really, we just want them to get really, really soft. So I added a little bit more oil, and I turned my temperature gauge down to medium from medium high. So hopefully that will slow down the cooking a little bit and help them to get soft. I'm also going to put a lid on it that's going to kind of steam the potatoes and soften them up as well. All right, the potatoes look perfect. So they are cooked through. If I take a fork and I kind of stab one, you want to be able to easily stab it, and they should almost fall apart a little bit. You want them to be almost a little bit mushy, so don't undercook them. You don't want to have crunchy potatoes in this, but you want them to be pretty well soft. Okay, you can see here I really pulled one apart with a fork, so that's good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the potato mixture. We're actually going to stick it in a bowl to let it kind of cool off a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to set it aside for now. Okay, take your pan off the burner. I'm going to turn my burner off for now. We're just going to set them over there. Okay, over here, we're going to get our egg ready, if I can fit you in the picture. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so remember as I taught you before, always crack your egg into a custard cup or something separate first. So I'm gonna put them in this bowl, but first I'm gonna crack them into this bowl, okay? So crack it on the side of the bowl, push your fingers into the egg and pull apart. Okay, we're gonna throw that egg away. Okay, and we're gonna use about 3 to 4 eggs in this recipe. Okay, so I'm gonna scramble the eggs. One thing that we want to add to the eggs is salt and pepper. In Spain, when they were teaching me how to use this, to make this, they said you add 3 big pinches, and then when you think you've added too much salt, you add more. So a pinch of salt is usually just kind of a dusting. They're saying a big pinch, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, and then 1 more. Okay, salt is really gonna flavor this dish and enhance the flavor in the onions and potatoes too. We're also gonna add a little bit of pepper to it. And this is just to taste, so you can add as much pepper or as little pepper as you want. Yeah, about that much. Okay, we're just gonna scramble it using a fork. If you have a whisk, you can use a whisk. Okay, and I'm gonna put my pan back on the burner. We're gonna put it on medium for now. If it's browning too quickly, which you'll see in a second, we're gonna turn it down more. So make sure that you have it on medium to start. Okay, I'm gonna take my big bowl of potatoes and we're gonna add the eggs to it. Okay, gonna give it a little mix and then we're gonna stick it back in the pan. We wanna make sure you still have some oil in there, or at least make sure you're using a non-stick pan. That will help too. Okay, so I'll put you back over here. We're gonna pour the mixture in. Okay, you should have, and you're gonna see, and I kind of set it to like 3 to 4 eggs, or the recipe for the big one says 6 to 7 eggs. You wanna have enough egg that it's kind of the same level as your potatoes. So this kind of looks like one even layer, okay? We're gonna leave this on the stove to sit, okay? If you remember from Culinary 1, if you had me, we made a souffled omelet. With the souffled omelet, you had to take either a turner or a spatula, a rubber scraper, and you had to pick it up from the side and see if it was starting to set on the bottom, if it was cooked. That's what we're gonna do here, but we have a special little trick for this omelet. So let it sit, okay? You don't wanna rush it. Like I said, medium, low heat when we're cooking it. And then you almost want it to look white the whole way around, and just the center is gonna be a little bit runny, okay? So once we get to that point, we'll start this back up again so you can see that. Okay, we're at the very last step. Okay, you can see that the omelet has started to cook around the edge. It's kind of solidified. I can take this rubber spatula and I can go the whole way around it and see that it's not stuck. These little nubs right here on the frying pan can sometimes be an issue, so always make sure that you try to scrape around those. So this is the trickiest part, and hopefully I perfected it and I can do it. You're gonna take a plate that is the size of your frying pan. Okay, you're gonna stick it on top of your frying pan and we're going to flip the plate over. Okay, oh, that's beautiful. Okay, now we need to cook the bottom side, so we're gonna slide it back into the pan, just like that. And then we're gonna set it down to cook. Okay, so it has a nice rounded shape to it. We're gonna let it cook through on the bottom, and then it is almost done. So I've checked the bottom of my tortilla. It's nice and brown and beautiful. So right now I'm just gonna actually take it out of the frying pan and just slide it onto a plate. Just like that. Okay, this is a nice kind of hearty omelet. You can cut it into wedges, and it's really weird, but in Spain they just kind of slab mayonnaise on top of it, or drizzle mayonnaise off the top of the wedge of it, just cut it kind of like a cake. Or as I said before, they cut it into almost slices, and they eat it on bread with mayonnaise and put it in lunches for kids and things like that. So kind of strange, but super, super delicious and really easy. Just potatoes, eggs, and onions and salt. Oh, and garlic. So you can make it really easily. One thing that I did want to talk about too, a lot of people think that in Spain they eat like Mexican type food, like tacos, quesadillas, fajitas, enchiladas, things like that, but Spain is very different. Like I said, that's a staple food. That's something they eat very often as we eat a grilled cheese or PB&J or something like that. So a lot of times you go to different countries and you're surprised by what they actually eat. So that's just kind of one example of it. They eat a lot of fish and rice, and things that are kind of unexpected. So keep that in mind when you are traveling, when you are learning about different cultures. It's not always what we think, okay? So again, that is my beautiful tortilla española, or Spanish omelet. Try it at home. Let me know if you do. Can't wait to hear. See ya!